Hello. Today we want to talk about something that we're all familiar with. We've been told so many times, just think positive in difficult situations. And even in today's psychology, they talk about reframing the circumstances or the event so that it changes the way we feel. And this we call a strategy, which can be helpful and of value. But there's a gift that we have access to, each and every one of us, that is deeper and more effective. And that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, this topic came out of a conversation we were having with our community a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about cravings and how, when cravings come up, how do we deal with it? And one of our graduates said, well, I've really found reframing really helps, because something comes up, I have a craving for some food, and then I just reframe the situation that's creating the pressure that's making me want to turn to food to change the way I'm feeling. I reframe it, and my feelings settle down, and I don't want the food. So that is a good strategy.
Yeah.
That's a good technique.
Yeah.
In fact, it's one I came across just innocently when I was in high school. It was just the most amazing thing to me. I was very concerned about what other people thought of me, and I want to get everything right. And I had a date with a girl. It was the first date with this girl. So I go in to get her and I see the time and it's like I'm late. I'm going to be late, and I just panic. I mean, I'm sweating. It's just like, oh, what's going to happen? And
Uh-oh.
then, and then I I had this thought. My mind said, "But you're not late yet." And I went, "Oh, that's so cool. I'm not late yet. So why worry?" So right away, my feelings settled down. I thought, that's so amazing. I'm not late yet. So then it got to be, I think it was like 5 o'clock. I was supposed to pick her up. It got to be 5 o'clock. And I started to feel this, oh my God, I'm late again. And my mind this time said, well, now you're late. What can you do? So I just innocently came across this reframing technique, and it's really effective for dealing with feelings as they come up. But what we've discovered is that the techniques and strategies, they're kind of like a game of whack-a-mole. So they work well once the mole has its head out of the hole. What if there's a way to go through our lives where these moles don't pop up out of the hole so much? Where
Yeah.
we really can have this peace of mind, this ease, and this greater stress-free environment in our own lives. So that's what we coach with. It's what our coaching is all about. That instead of looking for techniques or strategies on how to deal with this situation and that, it's a paradigm shift. Is seeing life differently, because the way we're seeing life is what's popping that mole's head up out of the hole. So when that feeling came up, oh my God, I'm late. The way I was seeing life is that what other people think of me means something about me and my lovability, and whether I'm going to be accepted in the group, or what's she going to say to her friend, all of that, right? So that paradigm is that my life is influenced by things outside of me, that these circumstances are what create my experience. And the paradigm shift that we coach with and that we've been talking about here on the blogs for years is that life really works inside out. This is a paradigm shift. It's not unlike when it was discovered that the earth isn't flat anymore. I mean, most everybody believed the earth was flat because sure enough, it looks like that.
Yes.
And so when it looks like that, and we have these thoughts, well, there must be an end to the earth. I could fall off. I don't want to sail off into the sunset. I could hit the end of the earth and never come back. So the thinking that comes out of a paradigm that isn't true creates a lot of anxiety. And so when it was discovered that the earth is round, then people sail off into the sunset, and there's no question because the logic no longer makes sense in the new paradigm.
Yes.
And like that, when we see that our lives, our experience in life, is generated from the inside out by our thinking about the circumstance, not the circumstance.
Yeah, a circumstance occurs and we make up a story about it, and then feelings come out of that thought story that we've created, and we pin it on the circumstances rather than seeing it's just our thinking in the moment that's creating all the feeling we're feeling.
Yeah, and then we start believing the thoughts that come with those feelings. The feeling came up, oh, I'm going to be late. Something's going on. Then the mind says, oh, this must be serious. So projection into the future, what's it going to mean? Then there's this whole other story that gets on top of the first story. Oh, I'm late. What do people think? Well, she could be telling my best friend and on and on. What do you call those? Thought castles.
Thought castles. We build these big thought castles out of one little thought.
A thought that's based on something that isn't true.
Yeah.
See, that's where we get into trouble. That's what gets that mole to stick its head out of the hole.
And what's so great about our feelings is when we don't feel good around a circumstance or just in this moment, that's the signal that we're believing something that isn't true, either about how life works or about who I really am.
Yeah, so that's the other piece that comes with this paradigm shift, seeing that everything is an inside out situation, that my experience comes from my moment to moment thinking from the inside, is that we no longer look at our feelings as like a call to action. Oh my gosh, this is a scary situation.
Yeah.
I feel scared, therefore the situation is scary, so I've got to do this or that. When in fact, if I have a scary thought that produces a scary feeling, that feeling isn't telling me it's a scary situation. What it's telling me is that I'm believing something that isn't actually true about who I really am and how life works from the inside out. So, what we wanted to share here today is the difference between using techniques and strategies to kind of navigate our lives and find greater peace and well-being, which it can help, but it's kind of a case-by-case situation. The problem comes up and then we solve it. But what we're pointing at is this, with this paradigm shift, understanding really the nature of how life works, we can kind of go upstream and prevent those situations from coming up in the first place. So now I get cut off in traffic where I used to get really angry most of the time. I get cut off in traffic. If this feeling of anger comes up, I no longer think, okay, I'm going to get on this guy's bumper and he's going to have to know that he did something I'm not happy with or whatever. If I feel that anger come up, it no longer is a call to action. Get this guy's attention. It's now telling me, oh, I'm believing something that isn't true. I'm believing that right in this moment, right now, the situation I've been cut off, it's already there. It's kind of like, okay, I'm late. What can we do now? There's nothing going on right now. I got cut off. End of story. No thought castles necessary.
Right.
And
Or suffering.
and the suffering that comes with it. And so my life, it can have a little blip on the screen, but recognizing that my feelings are not necessarily a call to action. I'm not actually about to get hit by a bus, so I need to jump out of the way. These feelings are telling me I'm believing something that isn't true. I'm believing these thought castles I'm making up and scaring myself to death with my own stories.
Yeah, and that's kind of the basis of cravings or of reaching for food when we aren't really hungry. We're trying to calm, we're trying to return to a more rested state, and we're using food to try to give us some relief. But it doesn't work long term.
It has consequences.
Yeah, it has definite consequences.
Yeah, true.
But as you begin to see more clearly the role of the mind, how life really works, who you are truly, it all changes. And you realize there's nothing outside of you that's going to give you fulfillment. It's all within. That's where all the fulfillment and truth and joy and peace reside.
Well, I just have to say something about that too. It's like we look outside to give us fulfillment, when in fact, we already are fulfilled. The only thing that keeps us from recognizing that and experiencing it is the belief that we put in these thought castles that fulfillment's out there. And we turn our head away from the fact that I am fulfilled now, here and now. It's just like, oh, something's just not quite right. Maybe if I have something to eat, maybe if I get a new car, maybe if I...
Not true. I did that for so many years. I went down every avenue looking for meaning and fullness, and I never found it. Not in those avenues, not in all of the things outside of me.
So, yeah, that's our story for today. Reframe or paradigm shift?
Great. Now the recipe is really yummy. It's an Oriental noodle bowl, and it's so simple to make if you can buy frozen Asian veggies. All you do is cut up a small onion, have some garlic and ginger in a pan, cook those up for a few minutes, throw in the Asian veggies, throw in pasta, the
Cooked
pad
noodles?
thai cooked noodles, and a little soup stock. And you can buy that at the grocery store, low sodium veggie broth.
Or could they just use water if they don't have?
They could, but then they've got to spice it up a little
Oh,
more.
okay. Yeah, because the stock does add nice flavor. We always have our own home stock, so
Yeah,
that's what we
we
always
love
use.
that.
Yeah.
So I think you'll really enjoy it, and it's really quick. What I did, I can't get frozen Asian veggies organic here, so I cut up carrots, peppers, pea pods, and a little cilantro for
Ginger.
garnish. Yeah, and ginger, onion, and garlic. And it is yummo.
That was good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us again. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.